Welcome. In today's story, we're going to cover Mississippi. Yes, Mississippi in the South, regarding their statewide corruption under the Child Support and the Department of Health. Mississippi last year was caught up in a huge scandal regarding the child support, uh, welfare reform. And in this article from the Mississippi Today, uh, written by Anna Wolf, credit given to her and fair use of the article, how Mississippi's trying to blank its child support program. The four-letter word there you see on the screen, I can't repeat that for being, striked, but this is what's happening in the child support program. And on this channel, I've said this before, child support is fraud. Well, Ms. Wolf here covered that in her article. So the Mississippi Office of State Auditors found that there were numerous what is called misappropriation of funds to the tune of almost $77 million. And again, that's what they uncovered on October 12th, 2021, just about a month ago. So here's the rest of the article by Anna Wolf, and here's it. She states, "Who's getting rich off child support? Hint, it is not the mom." So this story, as we covered this in more detail, NPR here that says the Mississippi Welfare Director and 5 others have been arrested over this massive fraud. And this article was dated February 2020. So the director of the program is also part of this massive arrest and this massive fraud. Now, this part of the story also included Brett Favre, the famous quarterback. Now, I am not here to, just point out Brett Favre, but I would be remiss if I did not bring him into the story because he is part of that story. They said he's scheduled to pay back $1.1 million. The question is, why is Brett Favre, as a famous football player, involved in the Department of Health and the child support program? Now, in the article, they haven't really touched on whether the court systems and their subcontractors are part of it, but you can imagine that they have a role to play in this scheme. We're talking a lot of money. So here's a quiz. Since an unconstitutional law is void, and the general principle is that it bestows no rights and no office, as well as a constitutional law can be ignored, could you tell me which case law, which Supreme Court case actually says that? Well, let's explore that further in this presentation. Hello, my name is Chris, and in this session, we're going to review just the cover story of the massive statewide corruption that went on in the Department of Health and the child support program in 2020. So we're going to use this to see how you in Mississippi can escape the child support program. You can listen to us on our podcast, which is Child Support Made Simple, on Apple, your favorite podcast, Amazon, and the likes. Also, we ask for a donation for the research that we do on this channel. Again, we produce videos based on our research. And in this story about the Mississippi fraud, if you're from the Mississippi area or from any area, give us any donation. We ask for a $25 gift, but again, any amount is accepted. So let's go further into this story. And again, it's reported by Anna Wolf, and her article is dated December 30th, 2020. It says here that the Mississippi Child Support Enforcement Program proves nonsensical. I'll repeat that again. Mississippi's Child Support Enforcement Program proves nonsensical. And she talks about the revocation of driver's license, the payment amounts are astronomical, they punish the fathers. So you've heard me on this channel talks about how unfair the child support program is and what we can do to remove ourselves from it. Well, here, this article from Miss Wolf is repeating the exact same thing that I've been saying for months on my channel. Also, here's another program. They have been tracking this welfare fraud and this child support fraud for 2 years. And it goes on into the article further from Mississippi Today that talks about what they did in order to uncover this massive fraud nationwide. The state auditor for the state auditor, Mr. Shad White, further revealed that many of these fraud also hurt what is called the TANF program. That's the Temporary Assistance for Needy Families, aka the welfare program. It talks about how the director, the executive director, and everyone worked on almost reducing the benefits that went to mothers on welfare. Now, with all of this massive statewide fraud, can you see how many Title 42 U.S. Code 1983 cases should come out of this? And the code, the 1983 code, is every person who, under color of statute, ordinance, regulations, and custom of any state territory, is subject to its citizen in terms of deprivation of rights. And in any lawsuit, all you have to do is prove that your rights were deprived of, either that's secured by the Constitution or that they acted under the color of law. There should be plenty of Title 4D 1983 cases coming out of Mississippi. Now, by now, if you're from Mississippi and you're paying child support or you're involved in child support program, you should be angry and is what we call the vexatious and belligerent litigant. Yes, I did a video on that. Please watch that. But you should be mad. You should be angry. If your case was part of this massive fraud, but you did not know about it, you can go back into court or the administration as a vexatious, belligerent litigant. In other words, you are angry beyond anything about what's happening to you. So let's look at the numbers. Since we're talking about fraud, let's take a look at the numbers. So in Mississippi, as prepared for Congress under Administrative Wage Garnishment 45 CFR 32, so from 2016 to about 2019, the average collection for child support is $328 million to $340 million. And it sort of went up and down, but at least it's within a $10 million range. Take a look at from 2019 to 2020. They went from 340 million to 404 million. The quick math, that's more than $60 million. Here's the question. Was the fraud centered on that $60 million or more? So look at some more numbers from Mississippi. In the 2020 census, there are 2.9 million citizens in Mississippi. Of that, 14,472 were acknowledgement of paternity. Those are people that are mandatorily enrolled in a child support program. So I've asked for people to subscribe to my channel to keep it going. Here, there's 14,000 people who are potentially could actually start a lawsuit in Mississippi for being unfairly mistreated according to this nationwide program. So anyone in Mississippi, please subscribe to our channel, like or dislike it. But those are people who should be paying attention to this. So in 2019, as we've said, $28.7 billion were collected, but they paid out only 27.6. That means there's 1.1 billion in there that the child support program shared. In the Mississippi area, as you said with this story, they shared millions. We did a video called The Constitution versus State Codes or Statutes. Here is an excellent example. If you're going to challenge the Mississippi program, you should rely on the Constitution. Why? Because the state statutes and codes allow the fraud to continue in the state. Yes, they use the state statutes and codes in which to defraud. Therefore, the Constitution, the Supreme Court decisions, is your best bet to challenge. So let's keep this in mind. This case is called Knox versus State and Townsend versus State out of Texas. It says, we must keep in mind the rule of statutory construction that when two interpretations are possible, one constitutional and the other is not constitutional, then the constitutional must prevail. And there is no indication that the legislators intended to develop an unconstitutional procedures so far. So therefore, you should use the Constitution knocks out of Texas. Here's another Supreme Court decision. United States ruled that the merits of a case as settled by a court in one state must be recognized by the courts of other states and may not be reopened. And the judgment of one state must be recognized as a final decision on that matter. Why is this important? And that's called because the federal laws and Supreme Court cases supersede state cases. And the case laws for that is Abelman versus Booth, or Cooper versus Aaron, or Bullock versus United States, or Howlett versus Rose. We have a video called Know Your Rights. This, if you are in Mississippi, know your rights. You should watch that video. So I often talk about the corruption that goes on in Texas, and many of you on our channel, you've given me feedback. Yes, it varies. And part of the reason is that the child support agency is a separate agency, but in Texas, they have the legislature put that in the office of the Attorney General. So the question becomes, who's acting on whose behalf? The office of Attorney General represents the people. How can it also represent the child support? So let's see how the fraud continues. And again, I've done many videos on Texas, but here, let's look at it. So under section 231.011, where it designated the title for the agency is the Attorney General office. Well, if you look at section G, it says participation in a statewide integrated system for child support, medical support, dental support for the county is voluntary. Why is that significant? Because in order to have the Attorney General's office be the title for the agency, they had to make it voluntary. So the question becomes, why are men involved in the program if it's voluntary from the county level? Again, watch my Texas video for further explanation. Now, I bring you all of this. It sounds like a recap, but again, this story is very important. The Fifth Circuit contains Texas, Mississippi, and Louisiana. And that's headed by the Supreme Court Justice Alito. So here's the thought. Again, this is not my opinion, just looking at the research and the facts. If Texas is conducting corruption and Mississippi is now proving that they have corruption, why would you not then extend the self and says there could be stuff going on in Louisiana that just has not been configured yet or uncovered? Again, this is just from looking at the overall map of the Fifth Circuit. I'm not saying that the Fifth Circuit somehow condoned this issue, but it seems interesting that this is under the Fifth Circuit. I did a video called The 5 Supreme Court Cases Everyone Should Know Regarding Child Support. Since Justice Alito sits over the Fifth Circuit, you can understand that he knows the child support program and he knows what the Supreme Court says about the child support program. This is all the more reason why under the Fifth Circuit to challenge the Mississippi statutes, the Supreme Court cases make sense. If you don't have an attorney, and again, you have the right to have access to counsel, you have the right to access the court and win. That is, you can take on your case yourself, and I did a video on that called Your Rights to Access the Court. Now, once you have access to the court, what are you asking for? In this story on Mississippi, you want all of your court orders, petitions, motions, warrants, affidavits, and objections. You want everything. And if they don't give you anything, watch that video. I walk you through how you can get your court papers. Because if you're going to launch a challenge, you need to have all of your paperwork. It does not make sense to sit and complain about the program when you have no evidence. Now, once you have all your paperwork, what is there left to do? Well, I did a video called How to Write Powerful and Effective Affidavits. This is where you launch your challenge for all the evidence of the fraud. Remember, there's already a statewide fraud. The question becomes, are you a part of that fraud? Is your case a part of that fraud, whether intrinsically or extrinsically or one or two steps away? You now have an opportunity to bring your case before the court or the administration using powerful affidavit. Now, the How to Write Powerful Affidavit is found on our website, which is called childsupport.newzenler.com. It's our master class where we'll be putting a lot of information on there over time, and we'll put information on writing affidavits. We also, if we get enough comments regarding Mississippi, we can upload our research, what we found, and put that there as well. Now, when you challenge the program for any reason, they will do what is called a 12B6. Now, I've asked for all of you to subscribe to our channel. Whether you like or dislike it, or you have a comment that's positive or negative, we ask for you to subscribe so that the story could reach all the men that are involved in the program. If enough people ever subscribed, I will do a story on 12B6. And for those people that are in Mississippi that could be involved in part of the scandal that is going on currently from last year, asking you to subscribe so you can get further help from our channel in terms of our research. So if you have any question or comments regarding the child support, please send us an email at chrish289@protonmail.com. Of course, we ask to support our channel, hit the notification bell, as well as donate. Help us to bring this information. You may not be from Mississippi, but your state may be involved in a similar scandal, just have not been uncovered yet. Support our channel. Forward it. Spread the word. Let's keep the information going. So, thanks for listening today. And again, this is the Mississippi statewide corruption. We've only covered the surface of it. And thanks. Have a great day.